First week without it. Got to make a change, right? We here? Am I here?
Yeah, we're here. It froze when I was doing the countdown on my end.
Okay.
I don't know.
Pretty sure we're live. Just get into it. Let's do it.
Hey, whatever. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're missing Josh tonight, so. You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Cool. I'll get us started, I guess. No intro, but hey, we're still figuring this out, so. Everyone, welcome to episode 129 of Dynasty Underdog. I'm your host, Uri Dawkins. Joins me tonight, Billy. What's up, man?
Not much. Absolutely jacking up this live stream is what I'm doing. So, yeah. I don't know if it's really my fault. It's probably my connection. But anyway, we're going to try to push through it. At the very least, we'll get the audio content out of this and get it out there. But, yeah, apologize for the technical difficulties.
It's all right. It's that shitty East Coast internet connection.
Nothing I can do about it, man. It's my neighborhood. They force this on us. So,
it's all good. Well, let's hop into some news and nonsense. You want to give the Discord shout out?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I just want any of the listeners to hop into our Discord. It's free, it's awesome, and just so much good stuff happens in there. I mean, there's going to be some topics we talk about tonight that come from there. So it's just, I feel like a group of like-minded people like us. So you just hop in there, and it's kind of easy, smooth sailing Dynasty talk. So yeah, join in.
Cool. Less cool news. Tony Pollard, man, he broke his leg.
Absolutely awful.
Sounds like he'll be ready for training camp, is what they say. But if I know anything about this Cowboys organization, is that they're like super optimistic all the time. So we'll see. Twitter doctors say the same thing about 3 months or something like that. So what do you do with him? What do you do with Dak?
Yeah, it's a brutal situation. He loses a lot of dynasty value, breaking his leg here in the playoffs when everybody's watching and focused on it, and his value was super high before. So yeah, you got to be kicking yourself for sure if you didn't get rid of him. I do have him. He might still gain some value back, but it's really tough there with Dak. I mean, I said it in the Discord. I'm a buyer. I'm not. He's been so good every year, and this I think is just an outlier. So I think I'm going to be in on buying Dak.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with all eyes were on, that game. Most people, unless you follow the team or whatever, pretty casual, like, you didn't get to see him have a downfall quite like that. He's such a good quarterback. He's great for fantasy. He's great for the team. Like, I am not worried whatsoever. So it sucks, maybe that loss is on him, but that stuff's not very characteristic. You just go back and look at his history. Like, he's a pretty good quarterback. So I'm not concerned about it. If people are worried, this is absolutely a buy low season for me. Some news with your Patriots. Bill O'Brien back as OC. That's gotta be like pretty good news for Patriots fan, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, even outside of fantasy, it's just nice to see them kind of organize things like a normal football team. So get a real offensive coordinator in there, and yeah, I mean, this should help Mac Jones out a bit. I still don't know how high the hopes are, but this could breathe some life into him. And if you're looking to move on from him, this could, be the time to do so. This just, there's plenty of quarterbacks I'd rather buy into than Mac Jones, but this could be an improvement for the Ramondre Stevensons and whatever ancillary pieces are there. It could obviously improve that side of it.
Yeah, I think for me as like a Mac Jones holder, like I'm just more comfortable having him now. I just feel like, okay, this is like a move that they actually went outside and got a guy that's done well in that position in Bill O'Brien. And it makes me a little more optimistic about Mac Jones. I'm not looking to buy him by any means, but I'm less of a rush to try to like get out and get what I can for him now. I'd rather wait and see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. I just got done defending Dak. Now it's your turn to say that Brady wasn't that bad.
I just like, I feel like there's this whole discourse going on that Brady was terrible this year. And I don't know why I wanted to talk about this. I just feel like this has been going on for a while. And whether he comes back or, I mean, it's more if he comes back, right? Like, I think that if he ended up on the Raiders in a situation that was a lot more conducive to, where he is right now, it could look a lot different, right? Like, I don't think a lot of what was happening was necessarily Brady got old and couldn't throw the ball. I think he had to rush throws a lot. I think it was his offensive line. And we talked about this a little bit at one point, but it's just, I got to put my name on it, I guess, that, I know it's popular to say now it's the cliff. He's done, right? But I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, why not? It's really hard to kind of write the guy off. We've been trying to do it for like 6 years now. So, especially, I mean, after he left New England, he just until further notice, he's still the GOAT, right? So, all right, cool. Some more nonsense. Can you trade the 101 for a top quarterback? This is a good question.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the Discord a little bit. Somebody was saying they were sending out offers, 101 and Zach Wilson for, I don't know, Josh Allen and Burrow and, you name it. And I was just wondering, like, at what point do you think that it becomes reasonable, right? Like, what quarterback are you willing to sell Lamar for the 101 and something like that? Like, I think there's some opportunity there, especially with a guy like Lamar who, has been kind of on the downtrend and everybody's worried about him. Like, that's a guy who I think you might be able to get this done for. Like, could you get Trevor Lawrence for this? And would you trade Bijan for Trevor Lawrence? I think I would.
Yeah. The first player that comes to mind that like maybe we don't see as a top quarterback right now, but not too long ago he definitely was, and that's Deshaun Watson. So I'm thinking that whatever team has Deshaun Watson might actually have an extra quarterback that they could roll with. And he might be one that you might be able to swap out a Bijan for a Deshaun Watson type deal if you want to do that. But here's another thing. 101. Okay. We play super flex. Is Bijan still going to be the 101 no matter what though, right? Seems like it. Does that seem... I guess he's safer than the quarterbacks, right?
I guess. Well, I mean, we'll see come draft season, like where he gets drafted to, that and where Bryce Young and Stroud get drafted to. Like, we'll see. I mean, those guys might get to a situation where you're like, this is amazing, and vaults them up. Depending on your situation. Like, if it really depends. Like, I don't think that it's smart if you don't have many QBs to go Bijan Robinson. Like, what's the point, right? Like, he's not going to turn your team around unless you're willing to then trade him anyway, and you just couldn't get the deal done prior to that for a QB. But you got to be looking to move back in those situations, I think, and not really take on Bijan and that whole deal, because we've talked a little bit about, like, that value becomes it comes to a point where it's like the Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, and like, it's unsustainable, right? They're almost never going to hit whatever that potential is that value is worth, during the 101 while it's the 101 in the draft before it's the actual player. So I think it's kind of worth moving off of that spot and not taking on the risk that is one player for so much value when you can move back and get a couple. So yeah, you're probably right. It shouldn't be Bijan if your situation, in Superflex, it probably shouldn't be Bijan, but it is because scarcity of position and we love our players. So
Yeah, I think this is the first year since I started playing Dynasty that I consistently see a running back going 1-on-1. And I know that we haven't had like a player like Bijan in the last 4 years or whatever, but yeah, it's just weird seeing 1-on-1 Bijan in Superflex mocks, but he's going to be good. We know that. Just weird to see. Like I'm surprised we're not seeing one of the quarterbacks consistently 1-on-1 instead, but maybe that'll all change after the draft too. So,
I mean, it's good that you're pointing that out. It's definitely something that I don't think many people are talking about. And with all the hype Bryce Young is getting about how good he is as a prospect, like you'd think that he would be vaulted up there. And maybe come draft season, if Bijan falls to the second round, like a JT or something like that, and if things fall the way they do, he won't be consensus 101 and it'll move around. So we're talking right now like we know exactly what's going to happen, but we really don't.
We really don't. All right. Last piece of nonsense or news here. Rodgers on the move. Is he?
It sure seems like it. I mean, there's a lot of talk about him being traded to the AFC, not the NFC. They apparently don't want to do that, but
yeah.
I mean, it's we don't really need to speculate on where he's going because who the hell knows. But it's more, I mean, what happens to the Christian Watsons and Aaron Joneses and all the pieces that we've come to know as valuable assets from Green Bay? Like, are any of them salvageable? Do you think that Jordan Love can make it work? Are you trying to buy Jordan Love before Rodgers goes? Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, we talked about this with one of the buddies I work with. He plays in like a keeper league, and he really wanted to get Jordan Love before the end of the year, and it's probably looking like a pretty decent move. Do I think Jordan Love is good? I don't know. We haven't really seen him play. Has he really developed all these years behind Aaron Rodgers? Like, how much help is he really getting? The whole offense is, I mean, you saw it this year. It was not just losing Devontae Adams wasn't, it made a pretty big dent in that offense. Aaron Rodgers too. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, I don't think I want any of those pieces. It's a lot of risk. Like, there's just too much like what if, in my opinion.
That's fair. You definitely should be selling Christian Watson then, and those guys who have, Aaron Jones is going to be a tough sell at this point, but
because the age, yeah,
because the age and people just get it. But like Watson has that, rookie allure, and he just did it really, kind of on a big stage and outperformed expectations. So I think you can get some good return on that investment right now.
All right, cool. So this topic is fun. It's something that, we need to be held accountable and also just kind of remind ourselves like where we went wrong or why we went wrong and talk about some of our hits and misses. So I'll go first here. I got my misses. I'll start with my first one, probably my biggest one, and that's Sky Moore. I still think Sky Moore, I still believe in the talent. I still think it's really good. I will say I didn't fall for the Kansas City bump. We saw him getting mocked consistently, like the 205, 206, 207, all the way up until the NFL draft. And at 205, 204, 203, I'm smashing that every time because I just truly believe in Sky Moore. Especially in KC, I was like, yeah, that's, it works. But to spend he's going to 106, 107, 108 all the time. And I just was never going to pay up for that. So, kudos to me for that. But I didn't expect him to face plant quite like this, especially with leaving Tyreek Hill. I just thought there was some room there for him to shine and just progress as the year went on, and you shouldn't really see that out of him. So I'm not out on Sky Moore. I can't sell him for what I think he's worth. I'm not going to go buy him, but I'm just going to hold and hope.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great one. I was pretty high on him as well, especially coming off the film review, but we both said the same thing. We just couldn't pay up for him, and I don't think either one of us really got much of him because of that. So, yeah, I still like him. I think that, he's a guy I'd like to get thrown in on deals, just as a back-end piece that could be something because he's playing for Patrick Mahomes. So there's always opportunity there. But yeah, tough, man. Tough situation. He's one I think we both missed on. One for me, you went all rookies on this for the misses.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know if you meant to or not, but I went the opposite way.
That's all good.
No rookies. So I think a good one for me is Mike Evans. And I'll just call out one of the hits at the same time here because I think it is related kind of to how I approached it this offseason. But one of my hits is Gabe Davis. I just want to say it, like he is who he thought he was.
Yeah.
If you're following me on Twitter, you get my little reference there. But otherwise, I traded Gabe Davis for Mike Evans, and it ended up being like a wash. Technically, I mean, Mike Evans was the better player in the end, but he wasn't what we wanted him to be, and not what we expected him to be. And I just kind of missed on, for whatever reason, just him continuing to be such a good player as he kind of ages. And I don't know if it was the Tampa Bay situation, and maybe I shouldn't hit myself too hard for that one, but one way or another, it didn't really work out the way I expected. And I kind of preached buying Mike Evans this offseason, and it didn't work out well. So I got to take the miss on that one.
Didn't he finish with like over 1,000 yards though again?
I'm sure he did. I mean, it's an extended season, and but like I'm not doing end of year stats here. Like we know it wasn't great, and one game was like 3. Yeah, but it was like 3 touchdowns, like one of these games, like at the end of the year. What are we gonna do? So,
gotcha. Yeah. All right. Another one of my misses is Jahan Dotson. He was a guy like I pretty much trashed all pre-draft, after the draft, especially where he went. But he came out week 1 and caught 2 touchdowns, and I'm like, oh man, what did I miss? And he missed some time, and he was a little bit quiet, and I'm like, oh, so maybe it wasn't that bad. But then he got back in it again, and he finished the season having a pretty good season. And he was drafted in the first, right? NFL?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe I should have paid better attention to that, but I just didn't believe in the profile. What little film that like I watched of him, I also just didn't like his production. I didn't like, but NFL teams liked him, and they were wrong, and they were right, and I was wrong. So I'll have to take that L. I don't know what this does for my process. Like I was trying to look at these because they are rookies, all my misses, and I'm trying to think of like what in my evaluation, what did I get wrong? Like how did I miss that bad? Or was it just like what places in drafts that he was going and I just saw somebody else I wanted? Or was I just avoiding him at all costs? Like it kind of was. So that's another miss of mine.
I think that we both approach that the same way, and that's something I will definitely take into this year. And I've talked about it is kind of, I didn't take guys that I was high on, and I also didn't take any guys I was like low. I didn't take any of them, right? Like I just kind of let them all go. And this year, like I need to, you see the signs. He got first round draft capital. He's falling in your rookie draft past the 110 spot to the 112 to the 201, 202, and you're still not drafting him. Like, why? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And that's it. When you look back on it in hindsight, it doesn't compute. So you got to go into it and not, because I think we were holding on to our priors and not willing to evolve with new information because we had whatever issue with how that player, their film, their numbers, maybe the combination of it. But at some point, it doesn't really matter. You got to kind of take those shots, even on the guys that you don't fully believe in. And I think that's a takeaway.
Yep.
When the value's right, that is.
Yes.
Okay. Next one for me. I'm just going to like Justin Fields. This was such a big miss for me. Set me back at QB in the league. Selling a little too low on him. But I've talked about it a lot already, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but just not being patient with a young QB asset and willing to give, at the very least, his dynasty value a chance to pick back up and see, if he can improve his game a little bit. Sold way too low, told some, I advised that as well. So that was not a good one. And I'll definitely be more patient and that won't happen again that way. But yeah, that was a brutal one for me.
I'll I could second that. I actually ended up selling Fields in the offseason. And I was just looking at, okay, what are the chances that Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, all those rookies from the year prior are all going to be good. And I was like, well, which one's most likely to fail? And I kind of liked what they were doing with the Jets building, the team there. I like the head coach there. I like the weapons there. And I thought that Zach Wilson would have a little bit better shot at succeeding than Justin Fields, given the organization that they're playing for and the weapons that the team has and all that. And I was like, you know what? I don't have any need for Justin Fields right now. Like, I'm still not competing. I ended up securing the 1-1 in that league, probably because I sold Justin Fields, but I sold Justin Fields way too soon too. So it is what it is.
It's tough.
Yeah, I know. And then my last miss, not my last miss, just my last one I wrote down, but another one is Christian Watson.
This is the only other one.
Yeah, that's I only had 3 misses. Christian Watson is another one, but I didn't like his profile at all. I didn't care that he was getting drafted to Green Bay and Devontae Adams was out. I listened to film guys, Debbie people who also were like at the Senior Bowl and, saw things that he was doing. Just talking to one of my favorite Debbie analysts, talking about how they could hear the ball like smack off his hands, at the Senior Bowl. And, so those are things that like I don't see in the numbers, but like, so when I don't really like what I see in the numbers or really on film, and then when, these true like Debbie draft analysts also say things that are pretty cautionary, I just avoided him like the plague. I never, there's no way I would have taken Christian Watson. I mean, maybe if it was like 210 and beyond, I would have probably pulled the trigger, but I would have grabbed David Bell instead, which maybe that's not the right thing to do, but I absolutely was never going to draft Christian Watson. And after the season he had, that's a pretty big miss. Going forward, do I think he's going to excel? I don't know. I still have my doubts. I really, really do. So, but for the season, for the 2022 season, big miss on my part.
I mean, without Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be tough go for sure, unless they get, unless Jordan Love is not who I think he is. But yeah, we'll see there. With Christian
fast forward 1 year, and
man,
we're like
tough
doing
one. I
this
kind of
again.
liked him on film, I remember, but everything else I didn't like. So, yeah, I feel like it's kind of a miss for me too. I don't have any of them, so I wasn't in on them, so that's not a great one. My last miss here for me is Pollard, Tony Pollard. I sold real low on him in the middle of the season, and there's really not much else that needs to be said. The signs were all there that he would continue to break out and continue to be really good, and I ignored them all and just thought I was smarter than what I was seeing, and yeah, that's just a bad one, just a bad call on my part, trying to kind of beat the odds and get ahead of the crowd, but kind of just shot myself in the foot instead. So not a great one.
Okay, let's get past the doom and gloom and let's talk about some of our hits. This is way more fun.
Yeah.
Big one for me is Jamal Williams. I could say with 100% certainty, not just Dynasty, but like a lot of redraft leagues and tournaments and things like that. If Jamal Williams was sitting there at ADP, I never once didn't draft him. I drafted him every time. And then I was going back and looking, 3/4 of the way through the season, looking at like which one of those teams were, I'm doing really good in this team. And it's like, I've had Jamal Williams in my lineup ever since the beginning. He's just been absolutely crushing it. You're drafting him, I think, like 5th round, 6th round, something like that. And, he finished, top 12 type deal, led the league in touchdowns and just was absolutely smashing. So for me, that's a big W.
Yeah, I don't have any of Jamal Williams. I wasn't really telling anybody not to get him. I was just a big Swift believer and kind of went that direction. But this was absolutely a win for you. I love that. I'm gonna go with Bateman. I think I can declare this a hit on my part as far as avoiding Bateman, telling people to avoid Bateman, that he doesn't really have that wide receiver one upside situation, the player he is. Now, injuries have definitely played a part in this, all around quarterback and everything. But at this point, we'd have to see it, I think, in his career. And we kind of know that by the numbers. If you don't really perform, no matter what the reason is at this point, then, it is what it is. I do want to say we talked about the Baltimore stuff last week, and I don't think we really addressed, a portion of it where, Roman leaves and everything gets worse, right? Like there is, we tend to look at these things and go, oh, it's just going to get amazing for everybody. And hopefully it does. Hopefully they get a better offensive coordinator in there that can do more things in the passing game and kind of stretch defenses out. But could go the complete opposite way too, right? Like we have no idea. We have no idea what's going to happen. And also, with Bateman, I think they're going to probably try to bring a receiver in. So it's just a lot is going on there with Bateman. And I think that, some of it was easy to see. Some of it wasn't. Obviously, you can't predict injuries and all that, but that's not really what the point is here. I think we're past that.
Yeah. I hate to admit it, but you're probably right. I still have faith. I don't have any shares, but I still have faith. All right, another hit for me was tentative hit. We'll see. He's still young, but for me it was Josh Jacobs, and really this was not like a pre-draft, preseason, anything like that. This was after 4 weeks and going through a little deep dive into numbers early on. Missed tackles, evaded tackles, all the advanced stats that we looked at. I think that episode, I think it was week 4 we talked about it, and Josh Jacobs had really stood out. And I'm like, this guy's going to be, potential league winner. And he, had a little slump there towards the end, but Josh Jacobs absolutely smashed this year. And just with a little bit of ingenuity and deep dive into what was really going on across the league, noticing that this running back that most people hate was actually doing very, very good. And there was no signs of him slowing down. I think that's a big hit for us as a pod. And, in general, just the fact that we kind of said, hey, Josh Jacobs is going to continue to smash, and he really did. So I'm going to call that one a hit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You've been kind of talking this one up all season long about, just how we were in on this as a pod. So yeah, this definitely goes on the list. And I think you led the way on that one. So kudos for sure. I'm going to go with another man at Bateman, and I'm going to go Michael Pittman. This is another one I'm taking a W on. I remember listening to, big shout out Jamie Eisenberg. Love the whole CBS crew and everything they do. They were really in on Michael Pittman as like a top 7-8 wide receiver, for the year. I think more redraft than anything, but that I always kind of internalized that, and I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like, I don't care about Matt Ryan. I don't care about any of it. I just don't. I've always said it similar to Bateman. Like, I don't really think he's like a true number one wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, better than Bateman for sure, but I just wasn't in on him as that guy. And I kind of preach, sell on that hype. I don't reach for this kind of guy. And I think year after year, it's kind of proven true. He's definitely a worthwhile fantasy asset. Don't get me wrong. He should be in your lineups, but he wasn't worth the price last year. And that was kind of where I stood on it. So I'm taking the W for that one.
Yeah. He was my first wide receiver drafted in Scott Fish Bowl.
I'm sorry?
I said he was the first wide receiver I drafted in Scott Fish Bowl. So I was kind of there too. I had high hopes.
Yeah.
Should have took your advice.
Happens. What else you got?
All right, another hit is Chris Olave, the air yard king. Chris Olave, he was a guy that I talked about, not last draft, but the draft before, but he went back to college. And for me, it was all, pat myself on the back, but it was all just what I actually saw him play. I just thought this guy was just absolutely amazing at what he did. He hit the combine and ran faster than I thought he could. He went to the Saints. The thing is, when it comes down to the numbers and all that, because he went back to school and who he was playing along with, I kind of saw, and I also felt a little more down on Olave, but I still had high hopes. My initial reaction of what he could be, he totally went out there and did it. He did it with Andy Dalton as quarterback. He did it in the Saints, and he didn't have any help with a good wide receiver one next to him. He was, he was, for all intents and purposes, he was pretty studly this year. Wheels up on Olave, and I'm gonna take a hit on that one.
Yeah, we were super in on Olave. Nothing bad to say about the kid. We even pushed past the late declare stuff.
We did,
and we loved him anyway. So we we aren't sticking to our priors completely here. We are willing to move forward a little bit on some of this stuff. So yeah, love the Olave hit there. Great pick. I'm gonna go with Edmonds, Chase Edmonds. Man, this is another guy who I was like, it ain't happening. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, dude. I'm gonna take my James Conner win from last year and my Chase Edmonds win. So there was really 2 years in a row I've hit on Chase Edmonds, not producing the way everyone thought he would in where Arizona, and then also not producing like a running back actually running back at all, not producing like a running back for your fantasy team in Miami, right? He got out. Nope. He ended up getting traded and then didn't play at all. So just he's not really who you all wanted him to be, and it was pretty easy to see that, even though he was, exciting to watch. It wasn't all. It just never was. He could never put it all together, and I think it was pretty clear. But people kind of had the hope and always chased that hope.
Yep.
Oh, it's me now. Okay, I'll go quick. I just want to give myself some kudos on Bellinger. I called Daniel Bellinger out very early on as a guy who you should be acquiring off the waivers in your dynasty leagues, and that was a great one. And then Jalen Hurts, I just think I was super early in on like, yo, I'm just gonna believe in this. I'm seeing what's happening, and I'm not gonna fool myself. I'm not gonna play myself. I'm just gonna buy in. And I was telling others to do so, and it paid off very well for me this year. Obviously, he got injured, and that might have hurt one or two of my teams in the end for actually completing the title run. But I think long term, you can see that this was a really, really big win for anybody who bought in.
Yeah, and I will say that I was one of those people arguing with you about Hurts, and I was wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah, we could have traded Trey Lance for Hurts for sure.
I know. I mean, really, I had to take a gamble on is he really going to improve as a passer, and he certainly did. I think definitely adding AJ Brown, that really helps things quite a bit. And that's not taking anything away from him. He definitely improved as just an all-around quarterback. I just didn't think it was going to happen. So I was wrong. Sorry.
And it makes sense why you wouldn't. I mean, no, guys don't really make that jump like that. So it's, you can't really kick yourself too much. And again, with the hits and misses, like I'm not sitting here like I'm the best. Like obviously we had plenty of misses, and this is a lot of fun to just kind of do this stuff. So you can't beat yourself up too bad or praise yourself too much, but we're just having some fun with it.
Cool. That's our hits and misses. I mean, I'm sure we'll think of more as time goes on, but those are all pretty good. Your Bellinger one is
I'll think of the hits.
Yeah, I know. Forget the misses. Other people will remind you of your misses. So it's important to bring up your hits from time to time. The Bellinger one is awesome. Yeah. I still remember that time when we were recording and you're like, look at the depth chart. There's nobody there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like top of the depth chart. I'm like, this is a guy I need to get. He's on waivers. He's actually on waivers. And that's how I got all my shares of Bellinger. It was just, swoop him up on waivers, $0. Like, because of the information and advice that you and also Josh were giving me at the time. So
it's because we put the effort in, all of us, like it's just, talk it out. You can't do it all yourself. So yeah, man, it's that time of year though. I'm getting back into it. I'm actually like 13 or 14 running backs deep now, full film reviews. So I'm about to get into wide receivers. It's that season. We're going to get into emptying the notebooks. It's that time of year, baby. It's fun.
Yep. What do you think about Zach Charbonnet?
Oh, I'm all over
I love
it.
him.
I'm all over the kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, my computer is slow as hell right now because of StreamYard and all that. But I'm not gonna go over to it. But yeah, he's got to be up in my top like 4 or 5 or something like that. Jahmyr Gibbs, honestly, like he's pretty low compared to I think what others on the film review. Again, this is not gonna be the rankings, but it's just more. Yeah, we're gonna get into it eventually, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I'm all over Charbonnet.
I've been pretty deep in it lately, so that's good news.
Love it.
All right, let's hop into some trades and non-trades.
Let's do it.
So I only have this one. This is one that we talked about actually last week. It was talking about the whole Pollard versus Swift discussion we had. So I'm like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to send offers. Did it in Console Wars because there's 3 shots there. And I just did Pollard for Swift straight up. 2 rejections, overnight. And the next one was like, hey, I'm going to need a little bit more than that to move Swift. I'm like, okay. So I threw in a third. And he came back and he's like, we're still pretty far apart. I'm going to need Pollard in a first to move off from Swift. And I said, no. So how do you feel about that? This is pre-injury. And not like it really matters. This is pre-injury. I just thought Pollard and a first for Swift is too much. To me, Pollard is probably valued very close to like 112, 110, 111, right? Like very close to a first. Like nobody's giving you Pollard for the 204 or 203. I mean, I probably would have done Pollard in a second maybe for him. But when he said he needed a first, I just backed out.
Yeah, I think it's a little rich. I mean, now I might feel a little better about it because of the injury and the uncertainty. But I mean, I think it's probably pretty close. But yeah, you'd rather be able to get off of that with a second instead of a first. So I get why you didn't do it. I think this is one of those where, like, if you want to get this done, that's kind of how it has to go. Unless, like, how high is that first? Was it a high first?
It's my only first in that league, and it's a 103.
Oh, so, that's a little much. That's a little much.
I didn't want to do
that's a quarterback. No, you can't. You don't.
Yeah, I didn't want to go like, okay, let me go trade around and see if I can move back a little bit and end up with like the 109 or 110 and see if that'll do it. I just thought it'd be a little bit too much work to go out and acquire Swift. I didn't want Swift that bad, but if people were trying to compare Pollard to Swift, I'm like, well, let's see how far this goes. In console wars, it doesn't go that far. So now I'm going to keep my 103 and I have my Pollard share. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. That's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. Swift is I mean, that kind of seems like the Swift is acquirable. That's what that tells me. But maybe not. 103, that's not acquirable. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a tough deal. I would not want to do that. All right. So I got Ken Walker and Rashad Penny and a 23 third for Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, sure. Kenneth Walker had a pretty good season. I think he nominated.
I mean, I got the JT side, to be clear.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker had a pretty good year. Rashad Penny, I don't think he's going to do anything. And a third for JT. Yeah, I mean, really, it's kind of like Kenneth Walker, dart throw for JT. I guess my question is, why?
Why trade for JT?
Yeah, why trade Kenneth Walker, Penny, and a pick for JT?
The 23 third is semi-inconsequential to me, to be honest with you. So, like, the way and same with Penny. I mean, what is, like, Penny really going to be other than a committee guy for somebody? So, he'll probably never see my lineup. In my opinion, if you're in a draft, you're probably not going to pick these two guys close to each other. Like, JT is going to go far earlier than Ken Walker. And, while Ken Walker might be a year or two younger, I think JT is the much superior athlete, superior running back, superior asset. So to me, it's kind of like moving Ken Walker for JT almost straight up. So I just figure I'll get the better player and not worry about the situation as much. Like Seattle, sure, it's a good situation. He had a good year, but we really don't know how it'll continue to be, if they'll add another running back, if what it's like there long term. And I think JT is just a more secure asset.
That's fair. I think the trade is fair. I mean, let's put it that way. I mean, I don't know if that's something I would do.
Fair.
I don't know if that's something I'd do. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, it was almost a no-brainer to me, to be honest with you. Like, if you told me, I could get JT for, the 102 or 3 last year, which is essentially what this is, then, I mean, I think anybody would have done it. And I think we're worried about this year because it was a really bad year, obviously, but they're likely going to fix the quarterback situation. And, the injury obviously hurts the perception of the year as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're a little too low on JT, in my opinion. Just the fact that, like, you're like, why? And, like, what? Like, I think there's opportunity to go buy JT, and that's kind of what I did here. So I'm betting on that.
Cool. I like it.
All right. So this one didn't happen.
Okay.
But I'm interested to talk about it. This was in just DU2. I was trying to fix my quarterback situation in a really disgusting manner, and I tried to move a 24-second in Josh Palmer for Matthew Stafford, and it got denied.
Okay.
So what do you? I mean, is it a bad deal like for Matt Stafford? I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad deal. Maybe the team, maybe they only have 30 quarterbacks and don't feel comfortable just rostering 2. That could be a thing.
Fair.
They're not getting a quarterback back. Like if you had like I don't know, a lesser quarterback that you could have thrown in there with the second for Matt Stafford or something like, like a Tom Brady or I don't know, a Tannehill or something like that. Just sometimes it's really uncomfortable or hard to, in Superflex, make a trade where I'm sending a quarterback away and I'm not getting a quarterback back. And, maybe that's what this player was thinking too. I mean, I know me personally, I don't like to have any of my teams with less than 3 quarterbacks. I like to have 3 at all times, 3 actual starting quarterbacks. Wentz was one at one time, so I'll have to fix that. But
I mean, that's the thing though. When you have 3, one of them could always not be starting. So it's like
I know. I mean,
you gotta have 2. For me, I need 2 very secure quarterbacks. Ideally, now in DU2, I have none, so I didn't even abide by that rule of mine. But ideally, I just have 2 really good ones. Like if I have I mean, ideally, but if I have like Josh Allen and then any of the other top 10 quarterbacks, like a Daniel Jones even would have been fine, like that kind of stuff. So like I think you're okay, but like I'd like a guy better than that, obviously. I try to have like another Jalen Hurts and those guys, get one of the low guys from the year before. But if I can have 2, I'm good. I don't need 3, but I get why other people would. So all right, makes sense. This one comes from the Discord. Calvin Ridley for a 23 first. Which side do you lean on?
The first.
Easily, right? Like it's not even a question to me.
Not even a question. Nope. I don't even care if it's the 112. I'm not doing that for Calvin Ridley. We don't know what's going to happen with Calvin Ridley. How old is he right now? 27?
I think he's I think he's 26, 27. Yeah. So, I mean, he's still like could come back and be good, assuming that his mentals are okay and all that. But yeah, there's potential that, first of all, the NFL doesn't let him back. So we don't know for sure. Right. Like he hasn't been like reinstated or anything. And
it's a good point.
And also like, even if he is good, we don't know what option he'll be on the Jags. Now, obviously, this is one of those, like, first of all, feel free to go buy Ridley and buy low on Ridley, but don't buy him for this. Like a 23 first, you're buying on an asset that you don't even know about yet. So, I think if you can get anything close to this right now, I'd just be willing to reset the asset. That's essentially what I said in the Discord and move on. So yeah, I'm on the pick side of this. I don't, honestly, I'm trying to think. I'd probably take a mid-second and something to move him to. I'm not going to be really picky on it. I'll reset unless I can get him for probably like a late second straight up or something. That might be the buying spot for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want Calvin Ridley before he pops off in Jacksonville, which he certainly might, I'd wait till after the rookie draft and draft your player with your first, see who you get, and then shop that around and try to get Ridley plus for whatever you just acquired. Like, I'm not sending no first round pick for Ridley right now.
Yeah, definitely don't send your picks now. They're only going to gain value. They're only going to gain value.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe moving like your first for a late first for Ridley in a second, like that makes sense. Like kind of moving back and picking up Ridley and taking the risk there. I think that might be the way to do it.
Yeah, if you're moving back like six spots or something in the draft and picking up Ridley, sure. Yeah, that's a smarter move.
Okay. This last one, this idea just popped into my head, and I'm just kind of wondering if you think there's any potential to do it either way, really. But like, it's at the top of the wide receiver rankings, right? Or just in general, the rankings for any position group, but definitely the wide receiver rankings. There's like it's very consolidated right now, right at the very top, and I think it's Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and that's about it. Do you think that there's enough hype around Justin Jefferson as like the number one, and Chase not having the injury this year, not having the entire number one role to himself, obviously with T. Higgins there? Do you think that you could trade Justin Jefferson for Chase plus anything? Like, and would you do that? Because I feel like you're not losing much with either one of these players. Even I would probably do a Chase for JJ and plus anything. Just any way that I could I feel like you could do this type of thing possibly.
I don't think that anybody sees that there's enough of a break between the two to do that. Chase is 1 year younger. There's not a move I'd be looking to do. I don't think it's that clear cut. Like, okay, JJ's this so far ahead of Chase, and Chase is still really, really, really good. So let me go get Chase and then try to get something extra on top. I disagree. I don't think this is something that you'll be able to do. I think anybody who has Chase, yeah, they might want to have Justin Jefferson, and anybody who has Justin Jefferson might want Chase or vice versa. But I don't think anybody's going to come out of their wallet with a little extra to make it happen. I think this is kind of like a lateral move, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, and that's kind of my point. I'm just wondering if I think that some people might have like a very significant preference between one or the other, and you might be able to get anything on top of the other. And I think that, I don't know, it's just something I was thinking about. It's a very low return on investment probably, but it's something, because like I'd move off of JJ for Chase, because I think Chase has a much better long-term situation, and I don't know if everybody's seeing Minnesota for what it is, where they could be losing the QB stability at some point. I mean, he is getting older. He's not the best. Like, what does it look like there long term? And I love Justin Jefferson. I think that he's definitely QB proof. But when you have Jamar Chase linked to Joe Burrow, I almost think his situation is kind of significantly better, and that I'd be willing to explore something like this for Chase.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate seeing that move happen.
Would you give like a third plus JJ for Chase? Do you think that that's too much?
I don't think you would have to add anything to JJ to get Chase.
Okay. Right. Okay. So that's
like,
I might actually try to make that move.
Like, I'm not surprised if, come startup season, which it is now, if they weren't just going back to back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you'd have to find one of those owners who feels strongly one way or the other. Like, I strongly think that JJ's better than Chase by a large margin. And then if you have JJ, then, go after Chase and try to get something extra, or vice versa. But I just think they're linked so closely together that this is kind of one of those moves that, like, I doubt you see get done in very many leagues. Interesting, though.
All right. It's just something I was thinking about. So, okay. Yeah. I think.
Do you
that's
have
all
any
I got,
Chase or JJ?
I do have Justin Jefferson in DU1.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking about making that move just to see if I can get plus on top of Chase
if you could get it done, that'd be fine. Like, I don't think you're losing much there to do that. I just don't know if the Chase owner is going to be like, whoa, this is some huge upgrade. Yeah, I'll give you extra. I don't know.
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I think that's all we got.
Cool, man. All right, everybody. Thank you for giving this week's episode a listen. Follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Underdog, at Uriah Dawkins, at Willie Beeman DFF, Joshua M. Goldberg. Hit us up on our Discord, discord.com/Dynasty Underdog. It's free, open to everyone. It's growing. It's fun. And we just talk Dynasty all the time in there. So hit us up.
Awesome. Peace out, fam.
Peace out.
Let me see if I can get out of here without breaking everything. All right.
It's just live for like 24 hours, like just nonstop.
No, I'm pressing stuff. It's just lagging. Like I'm gonna have to figure something.
Hey, I'm still live.